I'm sure by now that you've heard the news, but it looks like the new tentative date is set for Sunday, April 2nd. If you guys haven't seen my last video, you should know, and just to TLDR it, I wouldn't put a lot of faith in the second. Not that I'm rooting against it. That'd be great having the content come out. All for it. However, just note that when it comes down to these things, I'm going to be a believer as soon as it comes out, and I'm rooting for the devs hands down. Now, a couple things that I would like to just point you to. If you haven't seen Jay Oddity's latest video, his video kind of asked this question in a way, and that's what we're going to talk about first. But Major GG also tweeted out, says, Dev Katie, why does the leaderboards have to coincide with the release of the update? And I actually jumped in on that conversation before Katie responded, and it's kind of nice, going to pat myself on the back here a little bit, saying, hey there, Del Monte B, which is my Twitter handler, or handle, I don't care. It's Twitter, whatever that fires up to. He has guessed correctly, and we have a solution for the future. But this time, it's going to be a little wild at the end, so we apologize for that. Now, here's what I basically said. The reason why the leaderboards have to keep getting punched out, and one of the reasons why this video is being made, because it's the topic of this video, is that the leaderboards piece, the process that does the thing, codes it, logs it, hands out the rewards, that's actually a part of season 1, and that's pretty common within development. There's many times in which the releases get staged. The thing that they needed and have finished is, in this case, in season 1, and so right now they don't have this option, but going forward they'll have the ability to have it end and have that process, etc. But that then brings us to this conversation in this video. How do the devs go about saying sorry? Now, I do want to be very clear. I'm not saying that we're owed anything, and maybe you disagree, and that's perfectly fine for us to have that disagreement. But I think the concept, the word owed, implies a different kind of relationship than we really do have. And that's not to say that the devs couldn't go above and beyond. That's not to say that whatever, if they do anything, that it helps build back up that relationship, because one of the things that can always be said that is that if things don't go right, we trust that the devs will make it right. And I don't feel impacted by the leaderboards, but I know there are people who do. And that's kind of where this is going to be the discussion. This is where the MMO discussion comes in, especially as we wait for the update. For those that are sweating it out, trying to get on the leaderboards, I would love to know what your thoughts are and what you think would be a good reconciliation process between you guys both, because right now a lot of people have felt like they have to keep grinding, that they put in a lot of effort, they made a plan, they want to take advantage of the leaderboards. And I know, like Jay in his video talked about, that he doesn't like leaderboards, but leaderboards are and can be a good thing, just because they bring out some kind of, whether toxic gameplay or toxic perspective in gaming, that exists everywhere. Like, I will not be the guy who advocates for less systems and less features, because there's the chance that somebody might abuse it. I just can't get behind that logic in a multiplayer game. In a single player game, I don't think anybody cares about it at all. Put a leaderboard in there whatsoever, but there is an inherent competitiveness in some people that doesn't exist in others, and that's just how we have to live. But anyway, focusing on the subject at hand, focusing in here, in terms of that, I want to be clear that I don't feel like we're owed. What could they do to help make it better? And this is where it gets tricky, because like if your answer ends up being they should just give the rewards to everybody, that kind of defeats the purpose of the people who sweated and worked hard at it. Really, ideally, and this is the unfortunate thing, because this is where we are at this moment, is that in terms of logging it, it becomes a challenge. That's the feature that's missing. And it would be really cool if they were able to snapshot that, pull that over into like the PTR dev environment, and then be able to capture the data and say, okay, we've got that locked. You know, you hit the window. And then at this point, though, in terms of it, especially if there's anything that's close or that anything goes back and forth between one day and the next day, that's where I think you can end up looking at maybe handing out a little bit more rewards. But at its core, and we know they've already apologized. Katie, you know, on Twitter tweeted it out saying this, they're sorry. I talked about in the bug video just yesterday, this isn't the fun time for the devs. This isn't a miss on a delivery. isn't like, oh, well, I guess we'll get the next one. It doesn't ever feel good. The morale is pretty low. So there's two things that we can do. The TLDR of that video, we can cheer the devs on. We can hope for the absolute best, but we can also make sure that we're not scheduling. Well, I mean, hopefully you're off on Sundays, but worrying about setting your plans around the start date or the theoretical start date of this patch. So into that nature, hopefully that helps gives you a little bit of understanding as to why the leaderboards are set up the way they are. But then the real question to the community, and ideally we can explore this, more going forward, is that what would be the appropriate level of response if the devs decided to go above and beyond? Do you think that it should be just focusing on the leaderboards? Do you think everybody would be just a little bit more happy if there's something that kind of showed up, a couple of marks of fortune, and a special emote? We saw some of that stuff happen with the launch. So this isn't breaking new ground. This would just be like, yo, hey, we're sorry. And as a token of that, we'd like to do something a little special for everybody, because at the end of the day, everybody who's waiting for season 1 is impacted. We're all kind of waiting for this content to dive into the game, to come back to the game, to continue on, doing whatever we're working on in the game. I know for me, I'm working on several guides that require the update, and I want to do them in live than anything else. So that's just kind of the holdover for me. But again, I don't feel owed anything. I'm just asking you guys, what do you think would be the right course of action? So sound off in the comments. I would love to read them. I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully in the next video we're talking about the actual live patch. So with that, I'm going to wish you guys all the best. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.